Hi, everyone. Bill Wrenchley in the 1011 Now streaming studio. It is Thursday afternoon, and we just got done with sort of day one of the special session for the Nebraska legislature, and we're going to kind of break down what we saw with that special session and what we kind of are going to be seeing moving forward here as we head over the next several days, the next several potentially weeks. And joining us to talk about that is 1011's Craig Allision. Craig was at the unicameral this morning to kind of witness what was going to be happening. And we didn't really kind of know. I think we kind of had a high bar of expectations, Craig.
Certainly.
That this was going to kind of go on for most of the day today. But that's not necessarily the case. So you're going to kind of fill us in what we saw and then hopefully kind of what we're going to be seeing move forward here. My lower third apparently just didn't want to do the I, O, and N.
All good.
Let me see if I can fix that before we...
So it's Craig Alls is what it's saying?
Well, it's supposed to be the word session, but...
oh, you mean for the lower third for session. Okay.
There we go. Okay.
There you go.
That's in there now, and now I lost my ticker. We're kind of stumbling out of the gate here a little bit, Craig, but that's okay. So I think most people probably know kind of how we got here, and that's Governor Pillen wants property tax reform. It's been his big push. It was his big push as during his campaign. And so kind of fill us in as to how we got to where we are today.
Right. So just an inability first to get anything substantial passed in the regular session before we broke out for that summer break. So that's where Governor Pillen came in to call for the special session, saying in his breakdown, his game plan that he was handing out just a week ago when myself and John Grinvalds were checking in with the press conference he had, basically saying that this is a problem that, in his words, is getting so bad, property taxes will soon start to increase $1 million a day at some point for the state to kind of just deal with and for people to have to suffer through. So that's where Governor Pillen really was pushing for this special session to get something done. And that's where this bold push is coming in his own thoughts. At one point it was 40%, last week 50%. So that's definitely where it's a very dramatic push, but in his words and when we caught up with him last night, it's all for that urgency to get something down in that regard. So a lot of emphasis, a lot of, days leading up, everyone talking about coming in today for day one. So it did seem like there was a lot that could happen in the first day. So certainly a shock. I mean, we talked to Senator John Frederickson and Senator Mike Jacobson just before today's special session, and they were talking about just being ready to take on the day and, going for as long as it needs to take to get something done.
Because we had kind of waited. He, had announced his intention, the governor did, to call this special session. And, he had a press conference about it, and we thought he was going to announce when he was going to call that special session then. He didn't really do that. It wasn't until after that all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is when we're going to do it. And we thought we were going to go all day today, but in fact it turns out 11 o'clock is when they said, actually, nope.
So it was just right at 10. They took their roll call. A lot of people, came in. They let it convene for a little bit there. Maybe less than a handful of senators weren't there. So they had most of the unicameral there in session. And so then from there, once they finished up roll call, they started reading these bills. And just no exaggeration, just being in there. It was a lot of just person up at the podium going, now reading sub 5482 LBs, just these long titles that just flew right over your head, and doing that for half an hour. So we were like, okay, so we're locking in. This could go on for quite some time. And certainly a lot of people off to the sides, myself included, were like, all right, we're in for a long day. We'll see where this goes.
And there was a lot of media there.
Yes, there was.
There and other outlets were there thinking that, day one going to be a big day.
Yep. in city, out of city, a lot of people there, and it was going. That was the expectation. So certainly some shocked faces on the side when they said to adjourn for the day right after 11 a.m. So that was certainly like, oh, okay, I guess we're done. So from there, we were like, all right, so what is this process going to be like moving forward if this was just day one and it kind of caught us off all of us off guard just finishing after an hour. So we went off to the side. We talked with Senator John Arch, who's the Speaker of the Legislature, caught up with him about that process and just kind of taking it, all right, so what are the next few days going to look like as we get in? And so literally working into the weekend, it's going to be kind of like this. So it does sound dramatic thinking, oh, they're coming in on a Saturday, but it's literally going to be just like it was today. We come in, do a roll call, read off some bills, and then just adjourn for the day. So that's going to be the next 2 days going into Friday and Saturday. And then the real work begins once those committee meetings kick off earliest on Monday. Because they read about 20-ish bills is the word around there. And I think there's about like 80 that they still have to read.
And so, again, property taxes is the main focus.
Yes.
That Governor Pillen wants the special session to be about. But all these bills are not necessarily all property tax bills. Are they? It's basically, hey, this is the reason why we called the special sessions. We want to do this, but they're also trying to do other stuff as well.
There's lots of different efforts to like how we attack property taxes.
Okay.
I mean, one of the biggest ones is through the K through 12 funding that we've been talking about, where it's putting that entirely on the state. I believe they're saying right now 40% of property taxes like goes towards that kind of education right now. So that's where they're like, this is one giant area that we can cut from. Looking at certain taxes, looking at more than 100 different exemptions. That's where I think this long legwork is going to really kick in and maybe take a few sessions. And in those committee meetings, that's where they're going to try and like sort things out, try to lock things down, and see if they can get something out of committee to pass.
So if someone's watching this, or if they've maybe kind of heard about it in the background, but they're not completely caught up today, what's like the two things that you kind of learned today, or your kind of takeaways from today that you would tell just someone on the street who maybe doesn't know kind of what's going on?
Biggest takeaways, even if this is something that people just want to dismiss, because again, this is a divided issue. If this is something that senators just wanted to dismiss, that might even just take a while, just canceling out. This is going to be a process of getting into those committees and, talking out and seeing if it is just that simple. So this could be a bit of a long process. I believe talking with Governor Jim Pillen last night, John Grinvalds said that they'd be willing to go towards Labor Day, talking about this sort of stuff. So that could be an expectation of how long this could be. But even if it's like the shortest form of like, no, it still could be a bit of a process. That's the first takeaway, is that this could be long. And then the second thing, this is very open in terms of what could come out of this. Okay. This is something where senators will be weighing in on what they want to take away and what they can't agree on. A lot of the two senators we caught up with, Frederickson and Jacobson, said it's coming in the middle there, because we're talking about a 50% cut, but once we come in the middle, maybe it's walking away with a 30% cut or a 25% cut. So that's where it's going to be, from all the different bills, from all the different conversations and the committees, narrowing it down to where that final process kind of lends itself to be the final, here's what we did, here's what we managed to cut.
So we're watching the sausage being made.
Yes, exactly.
It's a messy process.
It's going to be long, and we don't know what's going to be agreed on. So those are the two big takeaways, and we'll just have to watch in these weeks. But again, finding out it's going to be short these next 2 days. Even though they say they're coming into work on Saturday, it's simply going to be just like today, an hour maybe of roll call, reading bills, and then adjourning. So the real work could begin Monday if it goes off as quickly as can. But yeah,
we'll see. All right, and we'll have as much coverage as we can here over the coming days, and it sounds like potentially the coming weeks, trying to follow this process. Craig, appreciate you jumping in and just giving us a little bit of a breakdown. Anything else you just want to slip in there before we let everyone go?
No, again, just the fact that I have not even been here for 2 months. Huge help from John Grinvalds, just kind of breaking things down. He definitely has a lot of like insight in terms of how this process is moving forward, and has a lot of heads up on some stuff So it's definitely just been a huge help, kind of just getting onto that system and just kind of hopping on board for this, crazy train we got going on.
Yeah, we're a little weird in Nebraska with the unicameral. Again,
Yeah.
you were in Georgia previously, again where there's a House and there's
Oh,
a Senate,
man.
but we just kind of throw
Yep.
it all in one big room and
Let's do it.
and we let it go that way. So, all right, well, Craig, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you kind of breaking that down for us a little bit. Like I said, again, we're going to continue to follow this, and we'll bring you updates as we go through this special session, which again sounds like could last several weeks as we head into the last week of July and then into the month of August as well. So, appreciate everyone for tuning in, for watching. As always, keep it tuned to 1011, both on air and online for all of your latest special session news, sports, and weather.